in case you were wondering. Okay, welcome aboard, everybody. I'm excited about tonight because this is a new format that we're doing, and 100% doing this just to make sure that y'all have the support that you need to succeed. And I'm also doing this because a bunch of new people that are new to the program. And so tonight I wanted to really kind of take a dive into what the program looks like. Y'all know me long enough now that I do like to make changes as I go, and as of 2025, we're going to point out some of those most recent changes and go over really the tools you need to be successful when you do this program. So that's the direction we're headed. And as a reminder, what we're doing this year is every second Tuesday of the month, so that would be tonight, we're going to do a deep dive into some topic or another. And basically those deep dives are going to start with me just going through an overview of the program for the new people that started that previous month. And then we're going to get into some topic or another that'll come up. And y'all are in charge of the topics. So whatever you want me to get into, that's why I'm here. Please let me know. Given that next month, this is like a new concept for you. Next month, I'm probably going to dive into brain health and talk specifically about brain health because it is a very passionate topic for me and it's super important to me. So next month, the second, third Tuesday of next month, whatever that date that is, I don't even know. We'll start with just a short overview of the program, and then we'll dive into brain health because it's a very, very important important topic that we need to cover. And when you know all these things, then you can actually make changes in your own life that's going to help you preserve and maintain and even make your brain even better than it is. So that's kind of where I want to go with these Tuesday night meetings. Again, second Tuesday of every month. Now, the other thing we're doing is the Thursday meetings. And oh, by the way, let me back up. These Tuesday meetings, yes, I'm going to just send them out to the people that are in the group. I'm kind of reserving these for people who are part of the program. But if there's, if you want to share the link and bring one of your friends along, I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. Thursday meeting is kind of the same thing. However, Thursday is much more informal. This Thursday at 1 o'clock Mountain Time. I know not all of you are in this time zone. This Thursday at 1 o'clock Mountain Time, we'll do our hangout for the week where we'll just sit and I've got a couple of questions that have come into me over the week that'll just be preloaded. I'll go through those. I'll open it up to you guys. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. So that is two benefits that you've got for being part of the program is these monthly meetings and the weekly hangouts. And then that way, we're staying on top of, or we're staying in touch with each other. You're staying on top of things. Hopefully that motivates you. Hopefully it gives you what you need to give you the best quality of life that is absolutely possible. And yes, Christian, that does involve making it better on a bicycle. I said it out loud. Let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I hope you all do the same. So my neighbors quit bugging me. Somewhere, it's right here on my computer, duh. Okay, I am on Do Not Disturb. I'm going to let my daughter know because hers comes through anyway. Starting a webinar, going dark for a while. Okay, that said, let's go. Okay, Metabolic Reset Program 2025. This is one of my favorite quotes on the planet. The greatest medicine of all is to teach people how to not need it. If there's anything that is excited me and got me going about my career, it is that statement right there. I want to help you. I can't tell you to take medications or not take medications. That's illegal, but I want to help you make the lifestyle changes that you need to get off of them so you're not reliant on them, basically so that you are not a customer of Big Pharma forever. Here's a problem. And a problem is that 85% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy. And what that means is we lack the ability to efficiently take food into our mouths and turn it into fuel. Our bodies have lost, 85% of us have lost the ability to do that efficiently. Therefore, we're keeping excess energy around. and we're not burning it in our cells, and that makes us feel tired, fatigued, etc. So 85% of people are in that boat. And sadly, 45% of people in America, that is actually gotten so bad that you have tissue and organs that are being destroyed, and you are actually part of the chronic disease process. Now, 45% of all Americans, and it's actually higher for adults, it's 60% of all adults have at least one chronic disease, and it's all going to link back to your metabolic health. And that's why these things are so important, because I want to teach you how to do this. Because when it comes to losing weight, you know, when I say weight loss, typically what people think is reduce calories. We have to reduce calories to lose weight, and that's the only way to do it. So you eat less, you go to the gym, you burn yourself out of the gym, you eat even less, and you go through this vicious cycle of getting frustrated, going back to eating garbage, and then going up and down. Your weight just kind of does this. Well, medicine thinks they have this great intervention now, right? So we have these Ozempic shots that are going around like wildfire, so much so that people are running the reserves out. They're not able to get it. And is it helping people lose weight? Yes. But what is the actual cost? Well, if you look at the top side effects of the medications that are out there, number one is going to be gastrointestinal issues. They literally make you sick. They slow down your gut mobility, and you end up with nausea, vomiting, etc. But hey, don't worry, you're getting skinny. Pancreatitis, which is inflammation of your pancreas, and pancreatic cancer are probably the two most common side effects. Thyroid cancer, but the more stuff that's coming out about these drugs, they're actually linking them to rises in all forms of cancer. Gallbladder disease, gastroparesis, and gastrointestinal obstruction. This one should concern you a lot. I've literally had people come into the office on these medications and say, you know, I took the medication, I lost a few pounds, but now I poop once a month. That's because their gut has become paralyzed, and we don't know how long that's going to last. So that should concern you greatly. Retinopathy, meaning your retina becomes inflamed, and your suicidal thoughts and behaviors, muscle loss, and eventually vision loss. So, you know, go ahead and keep taking these drugs for the rest of your life, but here's some common side effects. And I don't know about you, but that concerns me greatly. The other thing what people do is they're going to go out to lose weight. They're going to do something like a bariatric surgery, whether that's here in our country and paying too much for it, or going to Mexico and paying a lot less for it. There are side effects with these surgeries. They are not inherently safe. Here is a study from the University of Utah from 2023 that linked dementia to gastric bypass surgery. And the basis of it was, when people get this done, they're just not consuming enough nutrients. Okay, so is it worth it? I don't think so. So hence, here I am with the Metabolic Reset Program. And what is, in my opinion, this is the only natural way to lose weight that is both safe and effective. And the only side effect of the Metabolic Reset Program is you lose weight, you get awesome energy, your skin clears up, your joints feel better, your hair looks better, all of the above, by following what we've lined out for you here. I want to share with you a little bit about where this program came from and kind of the genesis for it. I know some of you have heard me tell this story before, but for the new people, I do want to share it here. So I've been in practice now for just about over 18 years. Holy smokes. For just about 18 years now. And ever since I graduated from chiropractic school, I've been really, really interested in some of the subspecialties, especially neurology, which has to do with your brain, and then functional medicine, which has to do with you putting the proper food in your mouth to lower metabolic inflammation and to help your cells recover and repair, and you get ultimate health. In fact, if you go back long enough, I was doing what's called functional medicine before the term functional medicine even was a thing. So at about 2 years into my career, I find out that I've got testicular cancer. I go through chemotherapy, and as a result of the chemotherapy, I ended up with peripheral neuropathy, which definitely would lump me into the 60% with some sort of chronic disease. And my doctor failed me when it comes to, okay, I've got this neuropathy issue now. I can't feel my feet. They're burning. They're on fire. What do I do? And he literally looks and disappointingly looks at me in the eye and says, well, it's hell to get old. Problem is, I was 31 years old. I knew what I knew from my training and from what I had learned up to that point. And so I started implementing some of what I learned into this. to make my neuropathy go away. And lo and behold, it did. And then my career just took off from there. So conditions that I've helped, with these chronic conditions that I've helped include diabetes and insulin resistance, peripheral neuropathy, thyroid disease, autoimmune problems, fibromyalgia, PCOS, chronic fatigue, Asperger's and spectrum disorders, seizure disorders. I could go on and on and on about chronic conditions that I've helped using some of the principles that you see in this program. But it wasn't until, we really dove in. I started, I'm backing myself up here a little bit. So I started, when I very first started, I started going to these seminars from a company called Apex Energetics. I learned about this Repair and Clear program, which had these awesome nutritional foundations, and then you took these supplements. The problem is that it was extremely complicated. It was hard for people to follow. Plus, if you start putting people on all of these supplements, are you really doing them the best they can? I see these people with autoimmune issues reacting to some of those supplements, and it just got super, super convoluted and complicated. Then along comes a human being of mine that I absolutely love. Jason Rosen and I actually sat down together and said, okay, this Apex program is way too complicated. Let's water it down, but make it just as effective. And we came up with this Your Health Handbook, which is what I used for years. It helped more and more put those people with those problems. Then the whole thing just kind of dawned on me, right? It's literally like one day you wake up, all right, okay, so 88% of Americans have poor metabolic health. Well, 45% of those people have a chronic disease. The people in my office are overcoming chronic disease with nutrition, and weight loss is the #1 side effect of that. So if there's 88% of Americans with metabolic disease, 45% of Americans have a chronic condition, I'm helping them get better and they're losing weight. What else? What am I missing here? And then my mind exploded. There's two types of people. From what I've seen in my office, there are two types of people. Okay, so if 88% of Americans have poor metabolic health and 45% of them have chronic disease, then you can put people into two groups. Okay, we have the ones with the chronic disease, the people that are reaching out to me for me to help them. Okay, then you have people who don't have chronic disease, they just have poor metabolic health, and weight gain is the symptom. This is my big aha moment. I remember when I realized this, it was like, light bulbs come on. I was the second type of people. Okay, I was what my doctor would call healthy as a horse. This picture was probably taken in 2017. Okay, so I had normal cholesterol, I had normal blood sugar, I had a little bit of a blood pressure issue. My waist was getting a little too big around the middle, 40 inches plus, and I was 25 pounds overweight. But don't worry, I'm healthy as a horse. And I'm like, holy moly, I'm the person I need to help. Hey, because if I can help me at this point, I can prevent becoming part of that 45% of the people with chronic diseases. Okay, so then I come across this program called Secrets for Weight Loss. That's where the drops came from that you guys are familiar with. They had very, very solid principles. I took their principles, I tweaked them and turned them to what I felt that from what I had learned to make it a better program. And of course, I had to try it myself. I've done this my whole career. If I'm going to bring something new to my office, I'm trying it myself first, and then we'll introduce this. That's exactly what I did. So that's me in 2021. Me and Kim we are in Puerto Vallarta in this picture. And I bring this up for a couple of reasons. Number one, putting myself through my own program actually worked. That excess weight was gone. Blood pressure came down. You can see there that my waist is much, much smaller than it was before. And okay, so now I'm in that percentage of people and it's working for me. And I also put it in there because you guys know that the drops are an integral part of this program. I was on those drops while I was at a all-inclusive resort in Mexico, and I didn't gain a single pound while I was there. Okay? So that's when this whole thing was just like, oh, boom, here it is. Hey, this is how we're going to help people. So we started, you guys heard my radio programs. You heard you heard us on TV talking about how people are losing a pound and a half a day, a half to a half a pound a day, following the principles that we teach in this program. boom, the Metabolic Reset Program is born. Mary is definitely one of those people here. She wasn't overtly sick. She wasn't taking medication, but here she was in her 70s wanting to lose weight. And we just applied these principles that we're going to share with you, and boom, she gets down to her goal weight of 135 and did awesome. So here's the big question. But what if I told you that focusing on blood sugar and inflammation could help you shed the pounds faster than any crash diet? Hey, I know a lot of you on tonight already know this because you've experienced it. But there are 3 priorities that we need to concern ourselves if we're going to make this program successful for us. Hey, number 1 is our number 1 goal is to regulate blood sugar and insulin. Okay. Number 2 goal is to reduce metabolic inflammation. And our number 3 goal or priority is to make this sustainable so that it doesn't just affect you for the rest of your life, but it affects everyone downstream of you, your kids, your grandkids, your loved ones. They all see your example. You can help share with them what they need to do to get these same results. Hey, I want to make this program in such a way that you can keep going, and we're going to dive into all 3 of these. So number 1, the number 1 priority is to regulate blood sugar and insulin. Okay, so how we do this is pretty simple. On day 1 and day 2 of the program, you just start by taking the drops. Now, some of you might look at that picture and say, hey, that's not the same stuff. There's a big announcement coming. It is the same stuff, but there's a big announcement coming. I'll share that with you at the end. Hey, but you start by taking the drops, and it's literally 0.5 milliliter. Happen to have a bottle right here. When you pull your dropper out, you'll see that it's graduated. Hey, and you just take 0.5 milliliter, put it under your tongue, hold it there for 30 seconds, swish it around and swallow it. That's it. Okay. Wait, if you can, 10 to 15 minutes before you eat, but then you go about your day. These drops, they literally contain vitamin B3 and some amino acids, and all they're going to do is help your cells listen to insulin better. Hey, you start taking them on day 1, day 2. You eat what you're eating now. Just take them for those 2 days. Excuse me, I said that wrong. You're going to take those until you hit your goal weight. Hey, but for those 2 days, you're just taking the drops and you're eating what we want you to eat. That way your metabolic machinery gets revved up and you get ready for what's coming. Hey, and what's coming is this: day 3 and beyond. Beyond means day 3 until you hit your goal weight. Hey, day 3 starts with number 1, skipping breakfast. There is so much good data out there about intermittent fasting. I highly recommend it for most people. But the reality is the whole, breakfast is the most important today. I think it was a slogan that was literally invented by people who want to sell you pancakes. But it is very, very important to skip breakfast. I realize that there's people on shift work or whatever. We have to make some changes for them. But if you can go and skip breakfast and wait and just eat lunch and dinner, you're basically fasting for 16 hours a day and eating for 8, and you're getting all of the benefits of intermittent fasting. Hey, so start your day with your drops, have some water, have some coffee. Hey, if you need coffee, that's fine. If you're going to use coffee, make sure you're using like Laird's or Nut Pods. Those are 2 brands of creamers that are that won't spike your inflammation. We'll talk about it in a minute. And that's literally how you start your day. Hey, now for lunch and for dinner, they basically look like this. Number 1, you're going to start with a little shot of apple cider vinegar, like 1 or 2 tablespoons, and I like to just throw it back. Yes, you can mix it with water. Yes, you can put it as a dressing and eat it with salad. But if you start your meal with apple cider vinegar, that will start your digestive enzymes and get things rolling for you. And there's actually data to show that reduces your blood sugar spikes when you do eat. Hey, number 2, you're going to eat 4 to 6 ounces of carnivore protein. So think chicken, fish, beef, wild game. When I say protein, think the natural stuff. Don't think the processed stuff. So, actual steak instead of hot dogs, that kind of thing. There's more about this inside the program, but 4 to 6 ounces of carnivore protein. You can see on my plate there that we just did steak that night. And then 4 ounces of low glycemic vegetables, which is literally anything except for potatoes, corn, peas, or carrots. And then 4 ounces of low glycemic fruit should make that, and that will make 12 to 16 ounces of food on your plate. That is a lot of food. Don't worry about the caloric content. Hey, just worry about the actual quality of the food you're eating so we can keep those blood sugar spikes from going down. And then whenever possible, when you're done eating, go for a 15-minute walk. Like for tonight, for example, I had my dinner right before we started this. I'm going to take the dogs for a walk when I finish, just because I didn't have time to do it right then. But you should just take it right after you walk if that is possible, right? I know what you're thinking though. I'll be hungry. You look at that and you think, I'm going to be hungry, which is true, but only for the first week or so, because when those, I promise you, when those drops kick in, you're going to be wanting to skip meals at times. And when you do feel that, go ahead and skip it. But you do have to use a little bit of grit in the beginning. We don't want it to last long. That's why we have a list of free foods that we want you to eat if you do get hungry, just so you have a full tummy. And those foods include lettuce, onions, tomatoes, peppers, and Primal Kitchen dressing. I put Primal Kitchen in here. This should be your brand of choice for dressings and condiments because I know it's clean. Yes, there are other brands. No, I don't get anything from Primal Kitchen for saying that. I'm just telling you that's what we use. And then you can use organic nuts and seeds, which is something that's new. We haven't really said that before, but organic nuts and seeds, go ahead and use them. Just use them within reason. Hey, not just mindlessly chowing them, but do use them with reason. One thing I like to do is there are so much good nutrition in organic Brazil nuts that I'll eat 2 or 3 of those a day and just call that my multivitamin. So that's the blueprint. Like, it's really not that complicated. And once you get the hang of that, you're going to look at other food and be like, oh man, that's not sure that I don't want to eat that. So it will happen. I promise you. And I'll never forget, like, going through it, how I felt super just like you go through, like, for example, I went to the fair, and y'all know the food that's at the fair, and I'm just walking around, my stomach's totally full, and I'm watching these people eating, tiger's ears and all the other garbage they serve there, and going, oh man, this is wild. And even today, I still go through times where I'm like, I can't believe I used to eat that stuff. So you'll get there. I promise. It just takes some grit. So review of the first priority. Priority number 1 is regulate your blood sugar and insulin. And we just do that through the foods that we eat. And we do that through a couple little tricks like the apple cider vinegar thing and the taking a quick walk after you actually eat. Priority number 2 is reduce metabolic inflammation. What in the world does that mean? Here's what it means. The standard American diet is linked to these 10 diseases. The standard American diet has gotten us to where our healthcare system is today, which is number 1 is type 2 diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver, which I was reading a bunch of stuff about that today, just kind of blown away. Hypertension or high blood pressure, metabolic syndrome, cancer, depression, anxiety, osteoporosis, chronic inflammation. So the foods that you're used to eating are all causing these diseases because they're creating metabolic inflammation because your body can't break them down and your immune system is creating an inflammatory response against them. I know that's a lot of techno jargon, right? But here's the deal. Dr. Mark Hyman, if you don't follow him, you should. He says that, did you know that in just 10 days of eating whole foods, cutting processed food, and practicing simple habits like we just talked about, you can reduce chronic disease symptoms by as much as 70%. This is why I tell you, when people come and sit down with me and start the program, they'll report back in a week or two that they're down 10 to 15 pounds, but what they're excited about is pain's gone, blood sugar's down, blood pressure's down. We see it all the time. Back to Mark. This includes sinus issues, allergies, IBS, migraines, even depression, no matter where it affects your body. I stand behind that 100%. I have seen that exactly in the last 18 years. So, but I know what you're thinking. Metabolic inflammation, how do I reduce that? And the big secret here is just focus on the plan. We've already talked about it. If you stick to the foods that we've already talked about and you stick to that basic structure, I promise you metabolic inflammation will drop down. And if you're on a blood pressure medication, this is where you need to be a little bit careful because it will tank your blood pressure pretty fast and you got to call your doctor. Okay. So here's how you do it. You avoid the top inflammatory foods, which are gluten, soy, and dairy. The way I used to introduce this was I would sit down with the patient who had this disease and say, yo, these are the 3 foods you got to avoid. And their brain, which is totally addicted to the foods, because I know some of you just experienced this. When I say those 3 foods, your brain's going, oh my gosh, I can't give those foods up. Well, that's your brain subconsciously telling you you're actually addicted to this stuff, and we need to start making some changes and replacing it with the other foods that we talked about. So I like to focus on here's what you can eat versus here what you can't, because these particular foods do create an emotional response for folks, and we don't want that. Hey, avoiding processed grains and sugar. You're probably getting a little, your hackles rising a little bit on this one, just because I'm telling you the truth. Processed grains, we can go down a whole thing, but if they're not organic grains, that means they've been sprayed with glyphosate and other chemicals that are causing major inflammatory reactions with you. So we just need to get away from them. Avoiding all soda, including diet soda. If you want to continue drinking diet soda, then you get the distinct privilege of dying quicker than anybody else. So just avoid all soda. There's none of it that's good for you. Fruits and vegetables that spike your blood sugar. We talked about those a little bit. The fruits that we have you avoid, which are pineapples, mangoes, grapes, bananas. I promise you'll have them back again. Just for right now, we just need you to avoid them because they do spike your blood sugar. And then vegetables, potatoes, corn, peas, or carrots. They're really not vegetables. They're not that great for you. I can make a pretty solid argument that potatoes and corn are actually making people gain weight, but peas and carrots will slow the process down. So we have you just avoid those because those spikes in insulin are also going to bring inflammation with us. So if we really want to get rid of metabolic inflammation, we've got to keep away from those. And then, of course, moving your body appropriately, which is the 15-minute walk after your meal, focusing on getting 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day. So we talked about what you stop doing. Here is what you start doing. Number one, incorporating more healthy fats like avocado and salmon used to be no-nos in the program, but we changed that because you need those healthy fats. And then cooking exclusively with extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, ghee, which is a clarified butter, and tallow. Okay. If you look in your kitchen right now or in your pantry right now, you've probably got a lot of vegetable oils, a lot of canola oil, and there's a lot of BS out there about how these things are good for you. And they're trying to make solid arguments, but the research that they're using is actually sponsored by the drug companies. So, no big deal there, right? No conflicts of interest there. I would just get rid of them. They're not doing you. They're not serving you. They're not serving your family. They're keeping you sick. So these are the ones that I would definitely stick to. And then using grass-fed and organic meats, organic fruits, and organic vegetables as much as you can. If you don't have access to these or you can't afford these, just do your best. If you need guidance on this, please reach out because we do know some places where you can get some pretty good meats. And you want to stick to these just because we want to avoid some of the chemicals that these animals eat because they will pass that on to you and increase your inflammation. So, and then lastly, drinking water, filtered water, 64 ounces a day. I say filtered just because there's a lot of junk in our pipes and you're just going to be healthier for that. When you do have a plateau, and that's probably a topic that we'll just cover in a whole video on itself. When you do have a plateau, the first thing that we're going to ask you is how much water are you drinking? That's how important water is in the whole process. In fact, I did not bring my water bottle in here. So might be a long one here towards the end. So a quote that I like that I came up with is, it's not about grinding it out of the gym or starving. It's about working with your body, balancing blood sugar, and using science-backed strategies that simplify weight loss and allow your body to heal naturally. So review of reducing metabolic inflammation. How do you do that? You stick to the program, you stick to the blueprint that we give you, and you're going to naturally just do that anyway. Then priority number 3, and lastly, is to make this sustainable. Once you get to your goal weight, here's how you do it. Hey, once you get to that goal weight, you're going to start sticking to the 90-10 rule. Now, this may not be the case for everybody. For example, Kim, my wife, if she were to eat gluten or dairy, she'd be a disaster. Like her body just has an adverse reaction to it. And so she can't do it. And you might find yourself in those same shoes, but there's really no way to tell until you completely avoid them and then either get lab testing, which is available, or you just introduce it and then all of a sudden your health goes back to crap, then you know. Okay? But 90-10 rule, meaning 90% of the time, if you eat what we teach you in this program, you're going to be fine. And save that 10% for, times that you didn't plan, going on a cruise, whatever. But if you stick to 90-10, I promise you your energy will be far beyond what you possibly could imagine. The other thing is to keep moving. Hey, I'm real big on 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day. This is new for me for this program for this year. It's like this ought to be the target because it will greatly expand the quality of your life. But if you take 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day on top of everything else you're doing to move your body, your brain's going to be healthier, your gut's going to be healthier, your immune system's going to be healthier, you'll get sick less, etc. I would highly recommend when you get to that goal weight and get to where you want to go, you start weight training as soon as possible if you're not already doing it. Muscle is the organ of longevity. So if you want to have awesome energy for your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids, You got to start wherever you're at, and I don't care how old you are. You got to start putting muscle on, and then getting outside. There's so much about fresh air, about sunshine. So there's that. Now, I've also included with your programs, if you don't have access to these yet, let me know. But the Metabolic Reset digital course, I've put everything into one place where you can go log in and you can continue learning and continue seeing the recipes and things that we share. So that's going to help you keep it sustainable. We do have the monthly deep dive trainings like this one tonight. These are going to continue to evolve and get better, but you will have these monthly check-ins to help keep it top of mind and keep doing what you need to be doing to maximize your life. And then weekly hangouts are the Thursday videos that I wish were on a beach, but they're not. They're just here on Zoom. Some days I might be on a beach and do it from there, who knows? But we will have those weekly hangouts where you can just still get support. Come, bring your questions, and let's just talk about them in the weekly hangouts. And then, of course, the community supports, the Facebook page, the circle page. Continue to use those. Ask your questions on those. And there's other people besides me that are saying this stuff that'll help you. So I encourage you strongly to use those. So just review the 3 priorities. Number 1 or number 3 is to make this sustainable. But number 1 was to regulate blood sugar and insulin. We do that through those simple lifestyle changes and through the foods that we eat. Number 2, reduce your metabolic inflammation. Voice is leaving me, guys. I don't have much left here. Reduce your metabolic inflammation. Number 3, and make this sustainable for yourself so you can be like Dave, right? So Dave came to me. He'd been through all the restricted diets. He'd worked hard in the gym. Math only got him 10 to 12 pounds per year, and he slowly crept up until he was well north of 360 pounds. He applied what we learned. He dropped about 80 pounds and is still doing amazing. I'm super proud of Dave. He just looks like a different human being, which I love. So that's all I had actually planned for you tonight. So here's on Thursday, we're going to make a huge announcement that's going to involve the drops and the new label, etc. So make sure you tune in on Thursday. But I'm going to stick around for a few minutes if y'all have some questions. Karma, I'm just now realizing that I haven't gotten back to you on the vitamin thing. Vitamins are a personal thing for everybody. I will tell you, Karma, that the ones you're taking are better than most, but I would like to see a little bit more detail about what you're taking. One big hint about vitamins, the first thing I do when I look at a multivitamin is I will look at the label, and if it has, for vitamin B9, if it has folic acid, I throw it in the trash and I walk away from it. You want to look ones that have folate, so that's one little thing, one little litmus test that you can do. And I think I actually have a blog post about that that I can send you. But we can talk more about that if you want to just reach out to me privately. Again, I'm sorry that slipped my mind. So we can chat about that. Any other questions, comments? Where do we go from here? All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick around for a few minutes. I'm going to just end the recording. So it starts, and so I can get it uploaded. You'll see it in Facebook and Circle tomorrow. So let me just stop the recording.